name is Jayne Griffiths and I'm a leadership coach with Above and Beyond. We have created a series of videos to help leaders in aged care because we know you are always putting others first. Today I'm going to talk to you about having difficult conversations, and I know this is something that's not easy for a lot of us. I want to start by reminding you of the aged care leadership framework. The topic of difficult conversations really fits within the domain of leading others, particularly interpersonal skills, relationships, as well as giving direction, delegation, and influence. It also fits within the domain of leading self, particularly courage and candor, and authenticity and integrity. We use a fantastic tool called Silka 360, which helps you identify your leadership strengths and gaps. So back to our topic for today. What typically happens when we're going to embark on what we think might be a difficult conversation? Often there's some sort of unresolved conflict or discomfort or anxiety around having that conversation. When that happens, we experience automatic thoughts or self-talk, which are often around, oh, this is going to be really difficult, or I'm not going to be able to handle the situation well. Or it might be that we think that this person's going to be angry or difficult or even tearful. I'm sure we have all experienced the situation where we start a conversation and it quickly degenerates into a bad situation. For example, someone walks out or both parties say things that they regret. You may even have had the situation where this happens again and again with the same person. The responses are destructive and they get us nowhere and can lead to lasting damage. So on this next slide, we've listed some of those destructive reactions. In a moment, I'd like you to pause the video, get yourself a pen and paper and write down what you find yourself using in terms of those destructive reactions. And also, what presses your buttons when other people react in this way? It may be that you find yourself becoming quite argumentative or even finger pointing and blaming. On the other hand, you might find that you're more likely to withdraw or cave in or be passive aggressive. So have a think about what you find yourself doing and what really irritates you when other people do it. So now you've had a chance to think about some of those destructive reactions that you use or you see other people using. I want you to think back to a conflict or a difficult situation that you've had in the past. It may even be something that you're going through at this moment. I'd like you to tap into what were or are your automatic thoughts. What's some of the self-talk that's going on for you? Then I'd like you to think about how your automatic thoughts influence your reaction. I hope you've now got a little more insight as to what's happening for you in terms of that conflict situation. Now you have more awareness, how can you change the situation next time? The first thing is for you to appreciate that your thoughts don't need to govern how you behave. You can recognize your automatic thoughts and step back from them. Your thoughts will have an underlying emotion. The underlying emotion may be anger, and that will show up in frustration or outrage, resentment or aggression. If the underlying emotion of your thoughts is anxiety, it will show up as fear or worry, panic, upheaval or disorientation. It's useful to get an understanding as to what's happening for you in that moment, so you can acknowledge your thoughts and not be overwhelmed by them. Often it helps just to have that awareness that our thoughts are driving our behaviour. Once we're aware of this, we can make a conscious decision to choose a more constructive response and behaviour. I'd like to share with you the drama triangle, as this is another way of examining why we respond in a certain way to particular relationships. In that triangle, it's as if you were an actor on the stage. There are three parts that you might find yourself playing. You may play the part of the victim, in which case it's poor me, everything's happening to me, and I've got no control over it. Or you may find yourself playing the part of the rescuer and not wanting to see people struggling or suffering, so you jump in and help and may even take over. Or you may find yourself playing the part of the persecutor, the one who blames everyone else. It's all someone else's fault. You may find that you play the same part in every situation or relationship, or you may find that it depends. You may be different with your friends to your work colleagues, and different again with your family. None of these three positions are very effective, so we need to try and shift that position into something more constructive. We've reframed this as the empowerment pyramid. So the victim now becomes the creator, and their slogan is, "I can do it." The rescuer becomes the coach, and instead of doing things for someone, their question is, "How will you do it?" The coach helps somebody find the solution rather than doing it for them. The persecutor, instead of blaming everyone else, becomes the challenger, and challenging from the position of, "I believe you can do it." Have a think about which of the drama triangle positions you may find yourself using in different situations, and how you could flip them and reframe them into a more positive position. So, having some more awareness on what might be underlying some of the difficult situations we find ourselves in, those automatic thoughts that happen and then our reactions to those, we can now enable ourselves to step back and reframe and choose a more productive response. Another way of looking at this is what we call view, action, result. For example, if we have a view that if we're going into a difficult conversation, we're anticipating an argument, what will happen is we'll be defensive. We're more likely to talk at them than listen, to justify our own position, or we may just thoroughly ignore the problem. The result is no opportunity for learning, neither party is going to understand how things could be different, and no opportunity to change or try new things. In this next slide, we show that if we actually change the view, we can change the action and then the result. That's what we call transformation. Let's think of a different view that we could use. For example, we may change the view to, "The greatest gift I can give is honest feedback." Who wouldn't want to receive a gift that's offered with the best of intentions? If we start with that as our view, the action will be that we're more likely to be more constructive, more likely to talk and listen, and we will own our feedback without judgment. By changing the view, the result would be that there's an opportunity for you and me to learn. There could be an agreement to practice new things and not be afraid to fail. We call it transformation because by changing the view, the behaviour is much more likely to stick than if you just worked on a behavioural level. This next slide illustrates some constructive responses and asks the question, how easy or how difficult are each of these for you? Thinking back to that situation you described at the beginning, which of these constructive responses are you most likely to use to get a different outcome? You may choose to step back, to reflect, or you may want to apologise or find a compromise. You most certainly could look at revisiting unresolved issues and acknowledging others' feelings. So, to summarise, we've looked at why some conversations are difficult, what happens in terms of that self-talk, and how that influences our reactions. We've looked at the drama triangle and how to flip that so that we can choose a more constructive position. We've looked at how we can reframe our automatic thoughts and choose a different view, which will then have a different result. Finally, we've looked at some constructive responses that you can practice and try in the coming days and weeks. I hope that you found this video useful. What I've shared with you today is an extract of a workshop that we run on productive conflict. If you want to find out more about this or our leadership assessment tool, Silka 360, please contact me. My details are on the screen. If there's anything that you feel that Above and Beyond can help you and your workplace with in the future, we'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, make sure that you look after yourself, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.